And good morning. We are live on the Falcons Podcast. Everybody should be here, so we don't have to wait on Facebook or X or anybody. We are ready to go. It is Monday morning after a convincing Sunday night Atlanta Falcons win over the Minnesota Vikings. And that makes it a lot more fun to talk on Monday. And Nick, I think one of the things that we talked about before we just hit go live on here was that the things that we were critical of on last week, for the most part, were addressed. You know, the biggest concerns, that the biggest problem areas we had, and it happened the same last year. You know, last year the offense was ridiculously predictable and came out and going, oh my God, what is that? The game wasn't that bad against the Buccaneers, but there were some things that we needed to see do a lot better. And for the most part, those were fixed. Special teams, not just kicking, I might add, but special teams, some defense, a little more pressure again. The running game, all of it looked so much better, and the Falcons dominated the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday night, Nick.
Yeah, they did. I mean, pretty much the first thing you got to say is, how about that defense? I think they had 6 sacks in the game, and shout out. I mean, they could have had even more. James Pierce flashing. Good to see Jalen Walker get in. Brandon Dorlus with 1.5 sacks as well. So granted, a few of those were J.J. McCarthy and a rather hapless-looking Vikings offensive line, but you play the teams that are in front of you, and you don't apologize for beating them. So really a big shout-out. Billy Bowman with the interception, having a great game as well. So I guess I have 2 big takeaways, the defense and the 2025 draft class. Welcome. Good to see you guys, and pretty good week 2 showing up there in Minneapolis.
Isn't it fun to watch the young guys play? Oh, just for 40 years, I've been draft recruiting, who's the next guy? And then to watch them draft a class to redshirt them last year, it was just, it was so frustrating to do that. So to see those guys come in and make an impact, and I'll tell you what, yeah, you saw the play. Jalen Walker sacked. I mean, we can talk about all these guys, but the one play that I want to hit on first was Jalen Walker. Last year, the Falcons, after their historically poor pass rush, they actually started getting after the quarterback a little bit, but it was always schemed up. It was always blitzes, guys coming free, or coverage sacks, cleanup sacks. It was very rarely 1v1. My guy beat your guy. My edge beat your tackle, or an inside, whatever. That move from Jalen Walker and the Falcons fonts on their uniforms, you really have to double check. You can't see out of the corner of your eye and tell if it's 11 or 17. So you see on the near side, Jalen Walker come off the edge, off the left. He was on the right edge against the left tackle. Throw his hands down, get his hands off him, dip under him, and come in for the sack. I let out an expletive when I saw it, Nick. Holy something I shouldn't say on air. That couldn't have been Eviketti. I was like, if it is, oh my God, where's that been? And then he stands up, and I was like, oh, that was Walker. That's what a first round edge should look like. My goodness, was that a beautiful thing to watch, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, he stood out. I'll be honest. The one who kept catching my eye, though, was Pierce in this one.
Like I said, we'll talk about all of them. That was just the first one.
Yeah. Walker, I mean, he had a great game. Obviously, it was good to see him on edge and be that piece. The defense really set the tone early also with that 4th down stop. Shout out. I don't know which defensive tackle it was off the top of my head, but low man wins. There was nowhere, granted a botch snap as well, but nowhere for McCarthy to go. And then you had Ellis coming over and delivering the final hit there. So they set the tone early. And again, the one that, 27 on the Falcons defense, he might not have, I don't think PFF has the stats out yet. And I know he only had 1 sack, but the amount of times you saw 27 fly around and force McCarthy to hit the back of his drop and immediately start stepping up into the teeth of the defense, and then also getting off base, which affects accuracy and everything. He was very, very disruptive, and he was obviously disruptive. It was the thing I think you always, I think it's you, Scott, like to use, like if an alien came down from the sky and be like, well, who's the best player on the field right now? It's like, oh, 27's a freaking problem.
Yeah,
that was
I always said if we were invaded by aliens, and I stacked up our best of humanity, I'd feel pretty good. 27's one of the guys. NBA power forwards. It's like, okay, these are my guys. The offensive tackles, You know, the 6'6", you know, guys like that. I'm like, this is the best of humanity while the rest of us kind of get fatter and slower and dumber. So
yeah, everyone has their own journey.
But Pierce had one of those games that made Jared Verse the rookie of the year last year. I think Verse only finished with 4.5 sacks. You know, you look at his numbers and say, oh, only 4.5 sacks. No. You watch him, and he affected games. He affected plays. He affected games. But listen, before we get too far along, I want to get to talk to y'all. This is your show, too. And we go live because we like having the show with you. And there's a lot of people that have come in with Super Chats, and I want to come in and say hello to a lot of people so far. Like Trenton has come in nice and early. He says he's going to miss today. Well, you'll be back, so hit us up in the comments. You know we answer those. We'll miss today, but here's for the defense of Zach Robinson play calling fun and game plan on the ground. All right. I really want to get, I guess it's easier to get one of the negatives out of the way because there weren't many. You know, I can go on again. Defense, special teams. There's players that we were critical of. And it's okay. Listen, burying your head in the sand and saying there is no problem, that's not what coaches do. Coaches see problems and they try and fix them. There are problems every week. David Onyemata was not good last week. And I mentioned we do this show before the PFF grades come out. And I'm like, I'm curious where his grade is going to be. Well, it ended up being the worst player on the field. David Onyemata for the first snap was affecting the play. And he had because I think it was him and LaCale London, you said, who was in on that fourth down?
I think it was 98.
I think it was probably, that's Rook.
I think it was, I don't remember. Maybe
Zach Harrison had a good game, but David Onyemata played great. He played great. He was energetic. He was put in better positions, I think, you know, where he can stunt and slash and use his quickness. But he played great. But the offense on the whole, and Falcons fans in particular, you have this, oh no, another field goal. We're absolutely destroying this team, and it's 6-3. You know, the chances that go by, oh no. One, I don't necessarily disagree with you, Trenton. I think the play calling was too conservative. Two, I wonder how much of that was by design. I cannot watch that game and definitively tell you that Darnell Mooney and Drake London were both healthy. No. Because they certainly played the game like they weren't 100%, Nick.
Yeah, and we've talked about the depth of the wide receiver room being
Casey Washington was out.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, and also you see, gosh, I say it every single week, but just what a joy it is to watch Bijan run. Now, does he have that, like, you know, that final gear in the open field that you see like some of the faster running backs have? No, but his ability to make a guy miss while being just slippery, I guess is how to put it. It's kind of more of the Alvin Kamara style of runner versus, you know, Chris Johnson, for a throwback for you guys, or even Jahmyr Gibbs. You have a little bit more of a higher gear, but what a game. I mean, when you have him, it's going to be pretty hard not to have a baseline level offense. 22 carries for 143 yards. My biggest complaint is with your wide receivers down, only getting him 5 targets. Maybe good to get him a little bit more involved in the pass game, but it's hard to say when he's got that many rushing yards as well on a part of the offense. Maybe I'm saying that.
I think, Nick, at one point, because they started creeping in, they're like, okay, the game plan is Bijan. They started creeping in a little bit, but I think at one point it was 13 rushes for 111 yards. You know, you're going for almost 10 a pop on that. But and by that time, I think they had also kind of figured out, Trenton, you know, hey, we've got this defense. You know, let's put a circle around. We've got this on defense. I'm sorry. Let's put a circle around Justin Jefferson. They don't have a running back that's going to beat us. We've got enough speed at edge rusher now that as long as we don't go blowing by McCarthy, we can keep him from going for 25 yards. So the adjustments on the quarterback contain, because McCarthy can run. Yeah. And he only really got away maybe once. So he was contained on the ground as well. So I'm not overly concerned with Zach Robinson's play calling. I don't like seeing some of the clerical errors, though. You know, you come out of timeout and the play still comes in at 15 and you run the call down to 1 second. That stuff's got to change. And yes, I know it's noisy, but when you see Michael Penix put his hands over his ears with 15 seconds left on a 40-second play clock, that means you've pissed away 25 seconds of your play clock before even trying to get the play in. That's got to be better. And it's week 2. It will be. It will be better. Mopar or no car, good to see you. I actually have a Mopar. I have a Ford. It's a Lincoln, but it's still a Ford. So I have a Ford. And John Harrell, our friend, he sent me some pictures already of the new setup he's got. And I guess I forgot that Mustang that's running like 8 quarter miles. It has a license plate on it. So that son of a is street legal. Okay, don't pull up next to him and give him the side eye. But Mopar or No Car says the defense did not give up a single touchdown, and it was even better than that. 5 sacks in the first half. And NBC threw up a stat before the final drive for the Vikings where they'd already gone up 2, and now it's just prevent. Prevent defense in a prevent situation. I don't mind that as much as 1st and 10, first quarter. 33 yards. The Vikings had 33 yards in the second half without A.J. Terrell, which scared the hell out of me, by the way, because the drop-off from A.J. Terrell to D. Alford is significant.
But we always talk about it, Scott. Everything after the line of scrimmage is secondary. I mean, literally. I didn't mean to make a pun there, but I did not mean to make a pun.
We should call it that. That's a good name for it.
Yeah, gosh. But when you are winning that emphatically up front, and especially when you are winning game script wise and making the other team one-dimensional, and you have the dudes to pin your ears back, it's easy. I mean, relatively easy. Obviously, if it was easy, I'd be doing it rather than sitting my butt in this chair. But everything starts up front, and it's been a big issue. I mean, it's one of the reasons you and I really hit it off immediately, Scott. We're defensive line pilled. I think we've seen enough bad offenses with defensive lines that just kind of elevate everything on the team around them to get it done. And that really was exemplary in this game. And now, again, it's one game. It's the Vikings who the offensive line looked disheveled. J.J. McCarthy has had 7 bad quarters out of 8 so far. I'm not ready to write his career off or anything either, but defensive line was probably the best unit on the field in this game. The pass rush of the Falcons, the individual talent flexed, and it's something that Falcons fans and what do we call it? Falcons country has not really had.
Honestly, I don't know. Falcons Nation, Dirty Bird Nation. We don't really have a definitive, name for that type of stuff, I don't think.
Well, anyway, it's not something they've had the definitive and tangible reality of understanding what an elite,
Nick kind of locked up on me. Well, good thing we're getting him out of Seattle because we can't count on his internet over there. So he's going to be moving soon. Oh, wait. I think he's back. He locked up on me for a second.
I'm back. Yeah, I saw it go blank for a second. But defensive line, God bless him. James Pierce especially. But I mean, it was Dorless as well getting it done. Rook, it was a great performance, and I don't think we should make light of that by any means.
No, and again, I'm sure when people come in, if Vikings fans find us, and I know they do because they were here during the Kirk Cousins stuff all last year.
Yeah.
They'll talk about the injuries. Okay. Falcons are injured too. Mm-hmm. Drake was not playing healthy. Darnell hasn't been healthy all season. You're down to your 3rd right tackle on there. AJ Terrell went out. I don't hear it. Injuries happen. That injuries aren't why you looked as bad as you did. You're just not good enough yet. And that's okay. JJ looked like a guy in his 2nd start who missed all of his rookie season with a knee injury. I'm not ready to give up on JJ, but you have to beat the teams that you put in front of you. And the Falcons did. Now, y'all have heard me say, again, I say it a zillion times. There's no such thing as unbiased. Okay. There's no such thing. Bias is what makes up our personalities, that our life experiences that help shape how we see the world. That's what bias is. At 19 years old, 1992, I guess that was the second half of my freshman year, but the 1992 football season was my 2nd year at Auburn, and they stink. And the Falcons have Jerry Glanville, and they're basically a circus. They're running the run and shoot before the run and shoot was cool. The black belt Elvis guy, it was a circus. Meanwhile, Jay Barker is the quarterback of the University of Alabama. Gene Stallings is a head coach, and they are just grinding people up and spitting them out with a running game and defense and a quarterback that doesn't make mistakes. That was what I saw, and I loved it. I absolutely – the 1992 Alabama Crimson Tide is one of my favorite teams of all time, and I went to Auburn.
Yeah.
Because of how I love the game. That's what I saw last night. Now, you can't count on that in this league every week. It's the quarterbacks are too good. The rules are different. And everything's changed. But that was a game I saw last night. And if the defense plays at a level like this and becomes even an upper half, then defense in a running game and good special teams is going to win you a lot of games.
Yeah. And I can't believe we haven't even said his name yet, but it's early. And again, it's a 1-game sample size. So you don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. You see teams look great week 1 and then fall apart week 2. You see the Falcons defense, look what they look like week 2, obviously, compared to week 1. So let's let the sample size.
Last week, Nick.
They were. I just think
they held Tampa Bay to 200 yards under where they were last year. They weren't bad.
They were not bad, but they weren't probably one of the top fantasy defenses this week. But I think we haven't even said his name yet. But Jeff Ulbrich, hats off to you. What the defense looks like right now. I mean, they feel like they have teeth. When you watch them, there's joy in their playing as well. And they have become, at least in this matchup, the aggressors. So, I mean, we'll let this sample size accumulate, but we have to give a big shout out to Ulbrich because it does. That felt different than, honestly, I can't even remember a Falcons game that we've been a part of, Scott, that felt like that from the defense.
No, I agree. Agree. I feel like before they were trying to just hold on. Let's see if we can just limit stuff. And then last year was just awful. We said, Justin Simmons wasn't any good and Matthew Judon was trash and all these guys. No, everybody was worse last year. Well, if everybody was worse last year and everybody's literally better this year, everybody on the field was better than they played in 2024.
And I also, to Ulbrich's point again, we got Jet Jones. I just, you and I both got ADD. It's like, if I don't say it now, I'm going to forget it. Obviously, the individual talent won, but he had some. I'll be excited to go back and watch this. I'm moving right now, so if I have.
And this is more of a gut reaction because the game was on so late. Like, I haven't gone back and watched some of the things. This is more of a gut reaction podcast from, immediately one viewing of the game. What are your initial thoughts?
Some of the pressure packages that he had on 3rd and long where different guys were coming from depth, and when you have the fact that you have Ellis and Walker as a chess piece and the twist and Diablo as well. I mean, so I was really excited about that. We got E-Troll says, you guys started early. We're always here at, assuming my alarm wakes up and I wasn't up all night.
You're usually hitting go live at 8:35 a.m. Eastern time. That's pretty consistent.
Yeah, so we're here. We're hanging out. And I wanted to give a shout out to Ulbrich and especially some of the pressure packages as well.
Yeah, and Jet Jones, good morning, Scott. Good morning to you. And Nick, here's the Victory Monday. Yes, it makes for a much more fun Monday with this crowd. Like I said, I don't fan the way I used to, but I'm happy for y'all. I am. I'm happy for y'all. I'm happy for Atlanta fans when they get a chance to be happy because it doesn't come around nearly as often as it should. That's for sure when it comes to sports. And Craig Elrod says, must be getting close to Halloween. The Grits Blitz has returned from the dead. Yeah, and they're doing it mostly. The Grits Blitz was like send 7 and match up 1v1 on 4 receivers. I mean, they just send the house, or, hell, back then they might only have 2 guys in a route. We're going to send 9. This is a little more, I mean, I know you're joking on this, but what they're doing is a little more complicated as far as the packages that they're showing and who's coming from where. It could be Diablo. It could be Ellis. It could be Bowman. It's usually 5. Mm-hmm. It is. It's usually 5. But your edges are winning one-on-one too. And that's the difference. And I noticed, as much as you notice Pierce chasing the guy, I also noticed him keeping his head up a little more. Where's the quarterback? Not just going for a spot, but keeping him contained. So the containment was better on this. So good to see Jet Jones. He comes in with another super to say good morning to Nick as well. Good morning, Nick. How about them rookies? How about them rookies? How about Billy Bowman almost coming up with 2 interceptions? And if that other one was an interception, so what? It was a pass breakup. That's still a huge play. On the final play, defensive play that Xavier Watts had, he got his interception. D. Alford gave Justin Jefferson just a little tug on the hip, took him off his route a bit. It didn't really affect the play because the ball was so overthrown anyway. But Justin kind of threw up his hands, and I laughed because the last time we saw those two together, I think it was him. It may have been Addison. But I thought it was Justin Jefferson. It was definitely D. Alford. D. Alford's getting spun in circles and ended up falling down. Being that close to even get a pass interference is a step in the right direction sometimes. Like, Nick, I've always said the one thing I wish I could have called on me is goaltending. I would never get goaltending called on me because I can't get 11 feet in the air to knock the ball up out of the way. Okay, he's close enough that they were all over them for the most part yesterday. So the rookies, Watts. And it's not even just those guys. Dorless is a rookie to me. Rook is a rookie for me. Dorless was amazing. Mm-hmm. Brandon Dorless was fantastic last night, Nick.
Yeah, he was awesome. Zach Harrison was as well. And again, I don't want to take away from them at all. The game script was very pin your ears back, and it looked like a quarterback who was drinking through a fire hose on the other side. Just things were moving too fast for him.
Which is what you're supposed to do to a quarterback that has 2 starts. You're not supposed to sit back and let Will Levis carve you to pieces for 4 touchdowns on his first start. You're not supposed to let Josh Dobbs come in and get off the MARTA train and walk in and drop plays in the rubber pellets and beat you in the last time the Minnesota Vikings came to town. I mean, it's all those things. So you're supposed to make rookie quarterbacks look like rookie quarterbacks, Nick.
Yeah, and shout out to Kerry makes a good comment as well. The defensive line coach, Nate Ollie. You'd mentioned all these young guys taking steps up and looking good now. Granted, it's the guys in front of you, so we'll hope the trend continues. A much better offensive line coming next week with the Panthers. They haven't had best results so far, but we'll see. Bryce Young he looks like he's swimming as well a little bit there, Scott. But overall, it's hard to get too upset about this game. I do have a few things I do want to talk about. We've been, sunshines and rainbows right now, and that's not typically our mood, Scott. So I do have some criticism to get to. But first, we got Canine Rottweiler. It says last time the Falcons had 6 sacks was November 12th, 2017. 2017. Man, we're coming up almost on a decade there. 8 years.
What was the other one I saw that said 2009? Was it 5? I think it was 5 sacks in the first half. I think it was 5 sacks in the first half since 2009. And I was like, was that the I don't remember his name. Someone in the chat will help me. The poor reserve, right? Adrian Claiborne, the reserve right tackle or left tackle for the Dallas Cowboys that was just on a turnstile, gave up 5 or 6 in that game to Adrian Claiborne. It might have been that game. That was a long time ago. So Canine Rottweiler, good to see you. Love those dogs. Hope we need to see a picture. Need to see a picture on that. I love the talking Rotties. Carrie, great to see you this morning. I know you're having a great morning as well. Good morning, Scott and Nick and Falcons family. That's all, y'all. Happy Victory Monday. Wow, what a defense. Bijan, we're going to change his name again, it sounds like. And we have a kicker, 5 for 5, including a 54-yarder. Rookie class, A+ impact last night. And I want to add on, as I'm doing my grades again, I was critical of, it wasn't just Koo with the special teams that were bad. All of the special teams, not named Bradley Pinion, were terrible last week. All of them were good this week. The starting field position, I bet the Falcons on kickoffs, Nick, I bet they picked up almost 100 yards in field position because of your kick coverage. Between penalties, it felt like Tampa, after a kickoff, was starting about the 38-yard line, 38, 40-yard line. I bet the average starting field position after kickoffs was inside the 20. Well, if I'm kicking off 6 times, there's 20 yards. There's 120 yards of field position. The coverage units. Yeah. Chef's kiss. Amazing. A+. Marquise Williams, special teams units with the field goals, punt coverage, kick coverage, A+.
Yeah, battle of attrition on that one, Scott. It's the ground war, land war. So slowly but surely that adds up over time. That's 2 more first downs. That's an explosive play that they have to get to make that up every single time. So over 10, 11 drives, I think that's about what each team had in this game. Another game where the drive counts are lower and lower, Scott. I wonder if that trend's going to continue this season. But yeah, no, that really does make a huge difference in this one. I will say I was a little bit, tight with some of those field goal kicks, especially that first one. I wasn't sure if it went in or not. At the end of the day, you do have Romo go 5 for 5, but we're still on kicker watch. The results are what matter. And he hit that. I think his last one was a 50-yarder, and that one was, I felt like each kick got progressively more accurate and more sure, but I don't think anybody should feel totally settled with the kicker position right now. But it is good to see that, 5 for 5 in a confidence builder for the new guy coming in there. So you did well this week, Romo. We'll see you again next week. Really, the only negative I have in this one, Scott, and it's hard to get too negative because you do have a Vikings defense that was top 4 in the league almost in every metric that matters. Team defense last season. They have, his name's escaping me right now, Flores, defensive coordinator, who's one of the top 5-8 defensive coordinators in the league. That was a very good Vikings defense. They were good last week against the Bears? I can't recall. Bears. They were good last week against the Bears. But my only real complaint in this one is, and you touched on it barely, Scott, at the beginning, red zone offense. Mm-hmm. Falcons were moving the ball great. The defense was great in this one. This could have been a 22-point victory. You should have won by a lot. You let them hang around because the Falcons go, I have the stat here, 1 for 5 in the red zone. Now, shout out to your kicker. He did make those ones, so you're not walking away with goose eggs. And that can be really deflating, but you let them hang around. And against a better team, 1 for 5 in the red zone, even with this defensive performance, might not cut it.
And frankly, Nick, that one was, we want the ball back. Come on in.
You're exactly right. Good context.
The one was a Tyler Algier coming in. And I think they got too conservative down there. And again, sometimes I wonder a little bit about, again, Drake London and Darnell Mooney, they didn't look healthy to me. You don't go from 15 targets to 3 because of game planning. No. You go to 3 because you've got problems. Casey Washington was out, which isn't necessarily a huge thing, but now you've got a couple of banged up receivers. You're going to Kyle Pitts. He was really your only threat in the receiving game. Ray McLeod had a good season last year, but he's a good number 3, number 4 option. So I think that played into it. That said, get the ball in, get the play in quicker, be able to check out of things quicker, because you can't do that when you're going to the line with 3 seconds left. Can't check out of plays. You can't audible on stuff. I thought they were too conservative back there, and I thought the execution from play call to snap needs to be better. And again, I'm probably not as harsh as a lot of the comments are, to be honest with you, but I'm not going to just say, okay, Zach Robinson has shown me some good things. I think I'm not calling for anybody's head, for goodness sake. No. And I'm ready to see Darnell and Drake with another week of getting healthy. I think, we haven't seen this whole offense yet. You saw the Falcons have enough weapons that they can spam 1 or 2 of them and be effective on offense. Michael Penix isn't going to be a guy that's going to be throwing the ball inside of 10 yards. That's not his game. But you know what else he didn't do yesterday, Nick, in a game where your defense is dominating? Tell me.
He had no turnovers.
He didn't turn it over.
No.
He didn't turn the ball over. The only turnover was a beautiful pass to Drake London, his first target, and Drake fumbled. He got the ball punched out in the open field after getting the first down on like a 2nd or 3rd and 17. So didn't turn the ball over there, but no. Are we completely thrilled with how the offense is playing? No, we're not. We're not. That will improve. That will improve with time together, execution, experience, health, all of those things. Corey comes in with a great question. I love it, Corey. If Storm Norton were healthy tomorrow, would he start? Now, let's just assume, he's been healthy and he doesn't need a ramp-up period, because he's gonna. So if he's 100%, would 100% Storm Norton start right now? Probably. I think Eli Wilkinson's done a good job, but probably. And frankly, Nick, if we want to talk about the one guy, I think he was better in the run game, but he was still not good. Jonathan Allen had his way with him this week. Clancy had his way with him last week. I think right now your biggest liability on the offensive line so far through 2 games has been Matthew Bergeron. I don't think Bergeron has played very well, Nick, so far this season.
Yeah, have not pinned down on the rewatch on individual offensive line matchups, but I feel like him and the center position, sometimes it's in tandem with the run game, but there's been a few times when they've been problematic. Right now, I do think, though, if Storm was healthy, he would start. Maybe you talk about Wilkinson at left guard at that point if you continue to see struggles with Bergeron. But right now, I mean, the offensive line looked pretty well. I mean, you did have 3 sacks in this one. It did feel like all the sacks were coverage sacks. I'd be curious.
I agree. Again, that's why you have 0 interceptions too.
Yeah. Yep. You didn't force it, which you'd rather have, obviously, the sack every time. Rather have him get rid of the football or find your check down. But again, I felt like at least 2 of them really stand out as coverage sacks to me, 2 of the 3. But overall, I mean, the offense, it's hard to get too upset in this one, especially when you run the ball as effectively as you did. Talk about, and that's another big difference of last week. We talk about the defense. Defense was fine last week. Egbuka, I need him to score me a lot of points today. So I'm cheering against the Buccaneers, but a big Egbuka game for my fantasy teams. I have him in both my teams. But the run game, night and day difference. We talked about it last week. Like, where is that run game? It's supposed to be the thing it's your constant every single week. Now, granted, running back is only as good as the offensive line, but it's hard to get too upset with the offensive line when you have Tyler Algier going for 76 yards, 4.8 yard per clip, and Robinson going 22 for 143 and 6.5. And as you mentioned, like 10 yards a pop pretty early on.
Offensive personnel, Corey, talking about Storm. With offensive personnel, how do we help Eli Wilkinson and Storm Norton and Caleb McGarry for that matter? How do we help improve the running game? Personnel wise, Nick.
Personnel wise?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Charlie Warner.
Okay. Yeah.
Charlie Warner last week was 42% of the snaps. I said, going through again, this is, I don't always have time. Today this is more of a gut reaction, but I did have time. The box scores are out. The snap counts are out. When I went through this last week, I went, Charlie Warner was only in on 42% of your freaking snaps last week. He needs to be in the hip pocket of your right tackle. You wonder why you can't run the damn ball. One of the best blockers in football. You know what his snap count percentage was last night, Nick?
78.
85%. 85%. Charlie Warner is one of the unsung heroes of this Atlanta Falcons offense. And they lined up, again, about being too conservative. Talk about, the pistol in 3rd and inches. When you just need when you have to get 1 yard, they're lining up in the pistol. Well, they didn't yesterday, okay? The first time they did it and they went for it, they lined up. Actually, Algier was the up back. He was a fullback, and Bijan was a tailback. They handed it short to Tyler, and Tyler burst through. Second time, Tyler's in the back. Charlie Warner's at fullback. They handed it to Tyler. Tyler burst through. The third time they did this, it was a little bit longer. It was about 2 yards, and they're still lining up with Warner, and they're still lining up with Tyler. That would have been an ideal time for play action. You're 2 for 2. You've been running the ball. That would have been a good time for play action. So, again, the corrections, it's – and I feel like sometimes this isn't being done in real time, but from week to week, if I can't run the ball, why is Charlie Warner getting only 40% of my snaps?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So they fix that. They fix that. Charlie needs to be out there. Rio, great to see you. Love that picture. He says, honestly, the entire rookie squad should receive Defensive Player of the Week. Let's push it to the league office. As far as, rookie, if they do a rookie, Defensive Rookie of the Week, how do you choose between Pierce, Walker, Bowman, and Watts? I mean, I might go Bowman. I might go Bowman number 1.
I need to see what the pressure numbers are, but I probably go Pierce off the top of my head, but I'm a sucker for defensive linemen. Bowman had a good game as well. If he came away with that one, that Hawkinson, that obviously bounced off the ground, then we're talking about it. And he had a good game, no doubt. But for me, I think it's Pierce. And the reason I probably go Pierce too is I'm so scouting pilled that what's translatable week to week. What I saw from Pierce is, I think, something you can bet on going forward. So I want to see what the pressure numbers look like as well. But Pierce is the one. I mean, if you recall, Scott, when we did our very first draft show, it was who do the Falcons go with pick 15 or 16 or whatever they had? I think they might not even had the pick yet, but they're in that range. I'm like, they need pass rush, and he's probably the best pure pass rusher in this draft. And obviously, there's some stuff in the background. We talked about that. Obviously, you see him fall and whatever with that, but he looks like a top 10 caliber pass rusher. You want to see it become a little bit more varied in some of his moves. Now, some of that might be the game plan of keeping McCarthy contained. Keep him a quarterback. Don't let him be an athlete. But man, it looked like something you're gonna expect going forward from him in this game.
Real quick on this, I want to let y'all know, and Rio, thank you so much for the stars over on Facebook. I want to remind y'all, and I put it for y'all watching on YouTube, and there are a bunch of you, so welcome in. Appreciate you being here. As this channel has grown, we have launched memberships on the channel. So one of the ways that you can support the Falcons podcast and support what we do is through the membership. There is a link on the description. I'm also going to drop it in the chat. So there's certain things I'm going to start doing some reaction videos, some shorts, that type of stuff, where I might not go live, but it'll be members only, just hot takes, real quick. I just fire up a camera and say, this just happened. This is what I think. So special stuff for you. And also, obviously to be able to help us out is just huge. So I want to say thank you to a couple of our people who've just signed up early. I mentioned Marcus Cook and Brian Anthony. 10 Tango signed up last week, and then Ryan Thompson over the weekend. He became a perch member. That was the $7.99. I called it the nest and the perch for our members. So thank you to y'all for helping us out. And I did put the link in the chat over on YouTube and Facebook, folks. If you wanted to, you can have it. But just again, thanks again to help us keep doing what we are doing, which is answering questions like Dwan Freeman. He says, "Good morning. The rookies perform like something out of a movie. Romo rocks. A little red zone play action and will be dangerous." You're speaking our language. Now I feel like I read ahead and I'm just stealing all Dwan's stuff here. Now, I obviously I agree with you because I just said it was some of the play action in there. The defense was dominating and your receivers are beat up. They went conservative and they were running the ball well. And your kicker's making kicks. And you're covering on special teams. They went conservative. Was it too conservative? Well, not for last night. It wasn't. Do I want to see better? Do I want to see better execution in the red zone moving forward? Absolutely. You can't. You're not going to be able to beat the teams you want to beat playing like that in the red zone. It's got to get better. It does. But it was definitely good enough for last night's, all things considered, that I just mentioned, Nick.
Yeah. Yep. The one thing I kind of raised my eyebrows at a little bit is Romo rocks. The end of the day, it made it, but there was a few that, little tense.
Nick, just stop. He was 5 for 5, kicking for his hometown team for the first time in the Minnesota place where he kicked last year.
Do it again. Let's see it again.
No, I'm not willing to anoint him, but let's give the kid some credit.
No, absolutely, we do.
For going out and executing. And the point, and again, there's no reason to have a week-to-week competition. They got 3 kickers on the roster. You're not going to have a week-to-week competition. Rip the Band-Aid off, y'all. Get it done. Even if he's not. Here's a hot take. Here's a news flash. Romo's going to miss a kick.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
He's going to miss one. I still don't want to see Younghoe Koo back out there. I want to see. I want to see Younghoe Koo? I want to see Younghoe Koo, who used to torture the Saints, go back and get a tryout with Sean Payton, because they've got some kicking questions of their own.
Yeah,
He could be a Pro Bowl kicker again, but he needs a fresh start. He needs to clear his head, because it's all in his head now, and it's not going to change in Atlanta.
No, I'm not saying go back to Koo either, but that you have 2 more games, 3 more games until you're bye. I think you have a week.
It's an early bye. Is it like a week 5 bye?
I think you have a week 5 bye.
Super early this year. It's week 5. So it's at Panthers, Washington, bye.
Yeah, crazy. So you got 2 more games here before. Obviously, he's should get that, and we'll see if Koo is still on the team come the end of the show even. But we do have Dwan Freeman says, "Sorry for the typos. I haven't slept. Rise up, rise up." I don't know if that was a joke, but I do love it.
I'll tell you, Dwan, I slept like a baby last night. Sometimes I get a little stressed. I'm like, all right, what am I talking about? I'm like planning my show, and as I'm trying to go to sleep. Last night I was like, oh, this is going to be an easy show. This is going to be an easy one. This is going to be an easy game. I can. we can talk positives and improvement. Again, some of the players that we were critical of last week, I want to make sure that we're shouting those guys out. Some of the special teams, I was super critical of special teams, not just Younghoe Koo, but all of them. A+ on special teams. David Onyemata played really, really well. Matthew Bergeron, I think he improved, but I don't think he's playing his best ball yet. Again, that's not being a hater. I think Matthew Bergeron, just like coaches, would expect more from himself. Mm-hmm. And I would think if you asked him, not maybe with a camera on his face, but no, I'm not playing my best ball yet, and I will. My friend texted me on that one sack. It was a stunt that the Vikings had where Bergeron comes underneath, the stunt goes over the top, and Matthews is left there to block nobody. Well, the way the two have been playing, I'd say that was probably on Bergeron. He's supposed to turn his guy loose, shuffle back to the right, and pick up the guy stunning into the middle. Instead, he comes untouched. But then as they're putting the game away, I watch him just bury his dude on block and play. So it's there. We know Bergeron can play, but he hasn't played his best ball yet.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, because of how well they played, we don't have to get too much into negatives. Not the best game from Michael Penix in the offense. Now, granted, you mentioned Mooney and London. When you see your run game run for, 5.6 yards per rush, and your pass game goes only for 4.5, I mean, that's kind of not a number you see often flip. Typically, obviously, the pass game is going to be more yards per play. So not the best game from Penix, but again, he played within the confines of game manager, and it's good to have last week, kind of the break glass in case of emergency, go make some plays for us, kid. Where this week, just drive the bus. Defense is playing well. Special teams run game's good. We don't need you to go drive for drive right now. But trust as cliche as it is, trust the process, trust the overall game plan, and just drive us home. Easy. Just park it between the lines. You got it, kid. We got Matt coming in. What a catch there, Matt.
Is that a tarpon?
Yeah, I don't know. It's massive. I don't know if you're holding it up right by the camera, but it looks, it would eat you. He says, whose defense was out there last night, and what do they do with the Falcons players? In all seriousness, that was super refreshing. Let's go. I mean, we said it 15, 20 minutes ago, Scott. That was probably the most dominant defensive performance I can remember since covering this team 5 years ago now with you on these shows. I mean, they pinned their ears back from the beginning, and really hard to critique much of anything from that defense.
And Matt, I have an answer for you. What did they do with our Falcons players? They changed them. Who are all the newcomers out there? Rook, Dorless, Diablo. LaCale didn't play last year. LaCale was, I thought he played more than last year, and then I looked him up on ref and no, he was a practice squad guy. LaCale, Xavier, Billy, Jalen, James. There's 8 fresh faces on that defense. Oh, and by the way, the guy calling the shots changed because none of those other 8 were going to matter if they were lining up in a prevent defense and going backwards like they did last year. Mm-hmm. So those guys, they've done a good job. It's been a infusion of youth and then putting them in positions to make plays. Are they always going to play like they did last night? Of course not. There's going to be a 35-point game coming up before too long, and it's all part of the growing process. They're not going to have games like this every time, but we know they're capable. And again, I've always been more of a personnel guy than a scheme guy, and when I see James Pierce blowing by somebody and dipping his shoulder down and dragging his elbow across the turf because he's coming in on an angle like that, when I see Jalen Walker blow up a guy's hands and then run around him with that's the word that Nick used earlier. That's repeatable. That's that you don't scheme against that. You scheme against that by taking away from somebody else. Now, instead of I have to worry about the back coming out. Now I need that back to stay in and chip that guy. I need help. So you've got to help against players like that, which takes away from other parts of your offense. So all good things. And there's a follow-up on the defensive question here I wanted to hit from Justin. He says, Scott, you called out pressures last week as misleading. I was wondering if you still felt that way. Absolutely. 100%. The pressure stat is misleading because the way they count pressures are basically at times where did somebody get pressure? That's not the same as are you affecting the quarterback? We talked about here at the beginning of the show, and you might have come in late. Are you making the quarterback uncomfortable? They'll call pressures when that doesn't happen. So if I just look at, we had the most pressures we've had all season against Geno Smith. Remember the Seattle game last year? Geno Smith is a 6'5" pocket quarterback who would stand tall, invite pressure, give his receivers an extra step, and then complete a pass. Picked them apart. That was the highest pressures of the season. BS. Are you actually affecting the quarterback? So there's a difference. Do I think that sometimes the pressure stat is misleading? 100%. Absolutely. Do I think getting pressure on the quarterback is important? Come on, man. If your question what I think about pressuring the quarterback, you haven't been listening. Yeah. So there they are. The pressure stat to me is run block win rate. Good Lord. I've seen ESPN and how they count win rates on the offensive lineman grade Dalton Reisner as the second best run blocking guard in the NFL. The dude can't block his way out of a wet paper bag. So yes, stats can be misleading. That's especially how they are being calculated. That shouldn't be a hot take on that one.
No, not all pressures are the same. If you have a quarterback running around for 10 minutes and eventually somebody gets to him, that counts as a pressure. Or if you have somebody, who was it in this one? It might have been Urohiro, the untouched, forced, might have been a
Zach
fumble.
Got one about killed JJ.
I think
Harrison towards the end of the game where he came down and he kind of wrapped around the top of his shoulder pads, and then he went down behind him and like draped him over the back of his leg. That looked like a finishing move in wrestling. That was Zach Harrison. Zach about killed him.
The forced fumble?
Yeah.
That was the forced fumble?
That was okay. Zach, yeah.
Zach Harrison. Talk about a guy also. I mean, what is this, year 3 for you? Is this year 4 for him? I can't recall. I think maybe it's year 3, but
it is
5 tackles. Yeah, 2 quarterback hits, 1.5 sacks. Big game for Zach Harrison. Somebody also talk about the young defensive lineman. He was a super recruit. Good to see him getting out there. But not all pressures are the same. Pressures are more predictive than sacks themselves, because sacks just tend to be a much lower sample. So they're not like, if you see a college player coming out and they have, lead college football in pressures, but they're, middling in sacks, probably bet on that player still all the same. Granted, there is value to finishing plays and getting the sacks, but it's a little bit more volatile. No, but you're right, Scott, that pressures are quality pressures. I think like sometimes there's like paid services out there. You can pay for quality pressures. Like if it's a pressure under 3 seconds, it's a lot different than a pressure at 5 seconds.
You can get a pressure without actually affecting the quarterback. And that's my stance on that. That's not a pressure. That's a quarterback inviting pressure.
Yeah. And if
that's standing tall, waiting till the last minute and getting ready. That's not pressuring the quarterback. That's not affecting the quarterback. Are you actually affecting the quarterback? Well, again, if you question what my feeling on that, you haven't been watching.
Yeah. And I think there's some like big data, big nerd stuff in football that NFL teams or like the monsters like ESPN or The Athletic have access to. But they have, granted, somewhat subjective, but did the quarterback, was he forced off his first read? That's out there for big data. That pretty valuable. And also they're using GPS data now, Scott. Was the quarterback forced off a spot? And that can be pressure related as well. So again, stuff that, if you're willing to pay $500 a month or something to get the access to that. If anybody wants to pay that, God bless you. We can get into some good data, but
no, and Justin, he agrees. Again, accounted pressure versus actual pressure, they can be two different things. Mm-hmm. So again, yes, the pressure stat can be misleading. Are you actually affecting the quarterback? Because getting pressure on the quarterback, I've said a zillion times, would I rather have the edge rusher or the cornerback? Which is more valuable to me? Edge rusher, for sure. Because the best cornerback in the world, and I've said this for 20 years, I've been doing this professionally, the best cornerback in the world is a quarterback on his ass. Mm-hmm. That's how I end the play. So
I've talked about a lot this season too, Scott, coming back to the defensive line of the Falcons and AJ Terrell being out. I don't know. I think it was Kevin Clark, and he was on the Mina Kimes podcast, but he was quoting a Eagles executive saying that the offensive line and defensive line in the trenches are the first question in the logic process. And if you have a stalemate there, then it goes on to your linebackers, your secondary, your wide receivers. But if you're losing up front, like the Vikings did versus the or like the Vikings did versus the Falcons. Doesn't matter that you have Justin Jefferson. Doesn't matter that you have TJ Hawkinson. The quarterback's not getting time to get the ball there.
Well,
So
how I roll my eyes with the Vic Fangio genius stuff. I'm like, oh wow, pressure with 4 guys and drop 7 into coverage. Boy, that's genius. And that's an exaggeration, of course.
Yeah.
The simplification of this is if I win up front, I win.
Mm-hmm.
Trenches, trenches, trenches. Jason, Oblivion Empire is a new member. Welcome to the Falcons podcast. You've been here for a long time, so another OG joining as a member and supporting the show. It's a great way. Thank you, my friend. And probably what I ended up doing, I do enough like Senior Bowl stuff that if someone wants to join and support, I was like, they might not like a little bird as their avatar to show that they're a member. And I'm like, wait a minute, the 99% of the people that are going to become members of this channel are going to be for the Falcons podcast. So I'm going to change your little avatars. You're going to get little birds as members on this. And Trent says he's going to join, and he agrees. He says Bergeron wasn't great. He wasn't. Again, that's not being a hater. We're going to go. We've given everybody their plaudits, and frankly, I don't think Matthews has been that great this year either. The left side, and part of it, they work in tandem. But I think Newsel across to Lindstrom to Wilkinson has been fine. And I think Bergeron and Matthews has been more susceptible to pressure and less successful running the game over on that side of the line. So there's things to work on, of course. And do I expect the team to improve on stuff? Yes. That's why they practice. Yes. Let's see. I'm going to hit Trenton again back-to-back on this one, though. We said 4 sacks last year. At Minnesota, they had 3 last week. Was it real? Okay. I'm a little confused on this. So last year, if they had 4 sacks, I'm going to take your word for this, okay? I don't know that they did. Last year when they got sacks, they did not know how to match blitzing with pressing. They would, okay, we're going to send everybody, but all of our defensive backs are still 20 yards off the ball. Moron. And all I have to do is just throw it to a spot, let my guy run under it, and now there's nobody within 20 yards of him, and you give up 50 points to Minnesota. Oh, I got some sacks. Yeah, but you were also giving up underneath big plays on everything. This year, it's different when you bring pressure, and you're really only doing it with 5 guys, so I still have 6 in coverage. I'm able to press. I got Billy Bowman draped all over the tight end. I still have 2 players around Justin Jefferson, and Addison wasn't out there. It doesn't mean they don't have weapons and stuff. And yes, Sam Darnold was a better quarterback last year than JJ McCarthy is right now. That's not a hot take either. But yes, this pressure rate. Did you see the stat, guys? All y'all, in the last 5 years, not only are the Falcons the worst in sacks in the last 5 years, they're 30 worse than the next worst team. That's unbelievable, man.
Maybe we can dig into that this year.
Is this for real? Yes. This is a legit team that will get after the quarterback. This team will legitimately get after the quarterback for 17 games. Yes, they will.
God, I'm such a wet stick in the mud, wet blanket. I want to see it again versus a quarterback who didn't look like they were absolutely spinning on this one. And you have some interesting tests coming up with still young quarterbacks. So you have a chance to really, dig into that. Jaden Daniels will take some sacks. Obviously, Bryce Young will take some sacks. We'll see what they do at the run game to try to mitigate that. I think you have
play the Titans because that dude takes some sacks too.
Oh, Cam Ward. He looks legit, though. He looks good throwing the football. He's got work to do as a pocket manager.
Get the Bears. Caleb will take some sacks.
Yeah.
But no, this team, are they going to get 6 every week? No, of course not. Will they legitimately put pressure on the quarterback? Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
And you can see it with, again, I want to see more from the guys that have already been here to say, like, oh, that's a Pro Bowl. Like if Harrison and Dorlus play like that every week, we're having a Pro Bowl conversation. But the traits, specifically Pierce, but Walker as well, that seems replicable going forward. So Scott, I do need to fly to mourn the Broncos loss here, but it's been good. I will not be here Wednesday because that's when the moving truck gets here. So wish me luck.
Travel safe. Everybody wish safe move.
Yeah.
And mentally safe move, because it's about the only times I've ever considered just, hey, all my stuff's in my car. I'm out of here. I can't take this.
I mean,
moving.
I can show you guys. I don't want to get like robbed.
My
or
wife's
anything,
such a pack rat. I'm like, I can't take all this stuff. I can't take it.
We are working slowly, so we're getting there.
I've been in my house for 10 years. I still have a room that looks like that, Nick. That's how bad it is.
God bless you. God bless you. But I'll be out. I'll be out Wednesday. At least it's like organized now, right? It's when it's out of the boxes and sprawl that drives me crazy. But appreciate you. Congrats on the win, guys. I mean, was the offense, a blast to watch? The red zone stuff's frustrating, but man, if the defense plays like that, the special teams plays like that, this is a playoff caliber team. We won't go too far. It's a one game, but
find the next gen targets and tell me where to find those. I want to see them. I want to see Michael Penix's targets.
The spray chart.
Yeah, the spray chart, because it's got to be. I don't remember a pass traveling more than 15 yards in the air the whole game.
I will find it for you.
Yeah, Matt Van, is that Holland now? I mean, Eddie Van Halen changed my life. See you, Nick. Well, travel safe. I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Eddie Van Halen changed my life. So, did Penix take any deep shots? No, I don't remember the ball traveling more than 15 yards downfield in there the whole game. Again, it gets back to, is Drake healthy? Is Darnell healthy? There's no way. There's just no way they were now. And that's part of it. And then you could handle this. And then you trust your defense, and your special teams were playing lights out. So they were conservative. Was it the right way to play the game last night? Not every call, of course not. But yes, it was. Glock says, do you think Cousins could still dealt to Cincinnati? Could they afford him? They could figure something out, but no, I don't think so. Jake Browning is a pretty highly paid backup quarterback, and he has done a really good job for them in the past. So I don't expect them to do anything other than sign maybe another number 2. I don't think this isn't just a Cousins conversation. But I think that they're happy with Browning, especially for 4 to 6 weeks on that one. So no, I don't expect that. Let me see. I want to go through some of the Jimmy, good to see you here. As I'm going through, y'all have been killing it on Supers. I want to catch up with some of our regulars too. And so if I see some new faces saying hello, he says the stats they put on screen last night was wild. Yes, it was. 33 yards in the second half before that final drive where they probably got a few and then still threw an interception at the end. Still a bit worried about the offense. Yeah, you should be. And I'm still worried about the defense. Did you want to come back in, Nick? Just nod your head if you want to come back in. Okay. Type it in there and I'll check it out here. Nick just popped back in our little backstage area where I can see him. You're worried about everything. I'm worried about how are you going to play with AJ Terrell out? You were able to mask it, but now I can game plan for him being out. And that makes me nervous. Comment section, there it is. Okay, for the next gen spray chart. Okay, well, we've got this now. So let me click on this and I might be able to show you, and we won't just say, I call it seat of the pants analytics. Thank you, Nick. Nick went and got this for us real quick. Let me bring in the spray chart. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And let's see if this comes in. Okay. Let me hide that comment so we can see. Sorry, that's why I have a producer. Yeah, the farthest one downfield was 21 yards. And it was incomplete. So the only completion, I think there was one to Kyle Pitts at 15 and there was one to Drake at 14. Other than that, there was no completion farther. They didn't complete a pass farther than 15 yards down the field. And that's what my memory told me. I like I said, I call it seat of the pants analytics. They didn't even attempt a ball farther than 20 yards downfield. And the one down on the sideline was 20, and then one was 18 to the deep shot. So they absolutely went conservative on this. Is this what we can expect to see from Michael Penix? No. Just no way. Michael Penix wants to hunt. But you know what else you don't see in there? You don't see any red. You don't see any reds for an interception. So take care of the ball. Got a pretty good feel that we can handle this team. Special teams, making the field goals. Let's not lose it. How many times do we say that about Marcus Mariota or really about Desmond Ridder? Just don't lose it. Don't lose the game. Well, that was the game that Michael Penix played last night. We've seen him go out there and throw, I'm a number 1 overall pick with a cannon for an arm passes and been spectacular. And the game management has cost them the game. This was different. So thank you. That was awesome. Thank you, Nick, for coming back in and doing that. Let me see. Someone else has popped back in here. Trenton has gone and signed back up. He's become a YouTube member. Welcome to the nest or the perch. Thank you, my friend. I certainly appreciate it for the support of the show. And again, if you want to do that as well, there's a link in the description of if you're watching on YouTube. Troy says it's going to be a fun year. And that was the one thing I promised. It's 1-1. The team is 1-1. I don't know how this season's going to go. I think I predicted 10-7, somewhere in that. And I was a little more worried about that, obviously, after the first week with some of the injuries. But the one thing that I did promise is this team's going to be more fun to watch. They lost a game they probably should have won in week 1. And by God, that was an entertaining game. It was a fun game to watch. Last night, attacking defense. The offense didn't attack, but the defense did. It's more fun to watch. It is so much more fun to watch. This death by 1,000 cuts going backwards and giving up 15 play drives that end in a field goal or a touchdown is water torture. Drip, drip, drip. So no thank you. No thank you on that. Rusty, I haven't seen you in here today. That doesn't mean you're not in here. So I hope you're having a good day as well. And I know you talked about going to Carolina. So I hope you are doing well. Let's see here. Is this John? Are you knocking on AJ is terrible. He gets burned a lot. Dude is overrated. Depends on what you rate him. I rate him as the Falcons' best cornerback, and I still think he is. And all corners get burned a lot. It's the hardest position to play in the NFL. It is where the best athletes are, arguably in the world. Go look at the cornerback stats at the NFL Combine every year. The corners, I mean, if you compare positions, the corners are going to lead all position groups in the testing. I've said pound for pound, small forwards in the NBA and NFL cornerbacks are some of the best athletes in the world. And every rule over the last 50 years has gone to make it harder for them to do their jobs in the NFL. AJ Terrell is a good cornerback. And if he's out for four weeks with a hamstring injury and the voodoo that go with those, God, those injuries make me so nervous because they can just flare up anytime. So AJ will be missed in this offense, and hopefully it's mild. And I don't know. I mean, best case, maybe he doesn't miss any time. But hopefully no more than the next 2 games, and he gets a bye week off, and he ends up getting basically 4 weeks before snaps, only missing 2 games. But hamstrings are scary. I call hamstring, they're like voodoo injuries. So they are scary. Brandon Wiggins, thank you for the super chat, my friend, coming in. He says 65 consistently ending up in QB in Michael Penix's lap worries me. I would imagine it was probably right up the middle too. That's where a lot of and Brandon, I'm not sure if you came in, Matthew Bergeron needs to play better at guard. I feel like a lot of the pressure is coming in on that left side, and maybe Newsel needs to help over there a little bit more. I don't know the answer. Again, I can spot problems. I'm not a coach. I don't necessarily know how to scheme up to fix them. Just like, I can tell I've got a problem with my car. I probably know what's wrong with it, but I'm not a mechanic. I don't know how to fix it. But Matthew Bergeron hasn't been playing well early in this season, and it's okay to say that. Matthew would probably tell you the same thing. He needs to play better. We know he can play better. So I expect him to play better. I expect Drake London to be healthier. I expect Darnell Mooney to get healthier, and for the passing attack to move downfield to take more pressure off of boxes in front. Again, I showed the spray chart. There wasn't completion deeper than 15 yards. And that's not Michael Penix. It's not. But it was the right game plan for last night against a team that you were dominating on the other side of the ball. Let me see here. And Corey Carter says, yeah, next week is Derek Brown. It was Clancy. And is it Clancy or Clancy? So apologies if I'm, Calais, I messed up his name over Tampa, but I know that he was in the backfield all last week coming off that side. And then Jonathan Allen was doing it. I think he was 90 something, 98, 93. I don't remember. I just remember it was Jonathan Allen was doing it a lot on that same size. And next week's Derek Brown. Derek Brown's a beast. So got to make sure that you're not letting one guy on that defensive line affect you. And that's one of the things that made the Falcons so much fun last night. We're going a little long today, but that's okay. If I asked you, and you can start putting in answers, who is your favorite defensive line pressure guy, front seven guy yesterday, you might get 6 different answers. Man, Brandon Dorlus was awesome. I love the way Rook played. David Onyemata was all over the place. Man, LaCale got a great push when he was in there. Zach Harrison, are you kidding me? We talked about him as being a breakout player, and he's going in and getting pressure and comes up with a key sack at the end. Jalen Walker, James Pierce. You know who else I saw out there in the second quarter? D'Angelo Malone was taking some snaps as well. We've gone 65 minutes and not even mentioned how well Leonard Floyd played. He played great. He was getting pressure coming off the edge. He was setting a nice edge. Now let's move back. Caden Ellis is a beast. Divine Diablo, we talked about as being one of the most unheralded upgrades of the entire NFL. What a difference he's made. So Derek Brown is a beast, but don't let him beat you. Make somebody else do it. Right now, what was fun about the game last night and what's been fun about the first 2 weeks, there's multiple guys on that defense. And again, what a difference it makes from one defensive coordinator to the next. And then the personnel upgrades by going with youth and investing, not just going with youth, investing in youth. 7 of the last 8 draft picks for the Atlanta Falcons in rounds 1 through 4 have been defensive players. I think all 7 of those guys showed up with the exception of Braylon Trice, who's injured last night. So 6 of those guys all made impact plays yesterday. Investing. Yes, I'm here for that. Let me see here. Let's see here. Shrey, good question. And that feels like a new name. So hope you're doing well. Said, did you pick the Falcons to win this game, Scott? I don't think I actually ever officially made a prediction. Last week, someone asked me, do you have faith that the Falcons can go up to Minnesota and win this game? And I said, faith and Falcons for me is probably 2 words that don't really go that well. If you ask a Gen X Falcons fan, faith, it just isn't going to work. The younger people who grew up in the 2000s, it's been different. You had a nice stretch of games. My ages 7 through 17 were the 80s, and the Falcons had 1 winning season. Again, bias. We're all biased. I grew up watching the Falcons be bad. I'm cynical. Though, I said I liked their chances better in Minnesota than I did of them going to Philly last year. And I almost tweeted this out yesterday after watching the early games and watching, who was it? It was Detroit. Detroit hung 52 on the Chicago Bears. The Bears have given up 73 points in their last 5 quarters, including the 21 to the Minnesota Vikings. I tell you what, I felt pretty damn good about the Falcons going against that beat-up Minnesota Vikings defense, and the Falcons defense being able to slow down a team that showed a flash against a god-awful Bears defense. So I felt pretty good about the game by the time kickoff came around. I did. And I'll tell you what, I feel pretty good about the game going to Carolina too. Falcons can win on the road. Carolina's not nearly as hostile an environment as Minnesota. No offense to Carolina fans, but Minnesota is one of the best environments in the NFL. And the rebirth of Bryce Young was premature. There's still big questions around him. So all of those things. Oh, man, Big Low is here too. Great to see you. Hope you are doing well. And I said, who was your favorite guy up front? We might get 6 different answers. I got Rook. I got Zach. Bowman wasn't back 7, but he was, I was talking about guys up front. But Bowman was awesome. Divine Diablo. All good things. Diablo here. AK again. And it took me a while to I didn't even mention AK. Those guys. And Terry says, clearly Ulbrich is an upgrade over Jimmy Lake. I said all year the Falcons will get better just because they couldn't get worse. I am an emotional person of believe it or not. And I'm emotional and logical at the same time. And sometimes I need to take a deep breath. But I will say things like, that's the worst defensive coach team I've ever seen at a high level of football in 40, how old am I now? 40 something years of watching college and NFL football. It was the worst coach defensive team I've personally ever watched. That means it's the worst one ever? No. Wasn't the worst defense I've ever seen because they had some pretty good players that would mask some of the problems. This defense was going to be better simply by removing that guy. By not letting him call the shots. Well, it's Raheem Morris's defense. No, Raheem delegated too much. He did, and it took him a long time, and the Falcons was basically the season was lost on that. He'd lost the defense by the time he had taken over, which was about after the bye week. Tommy says Drake London's production, he's got the Eagles on there. Is that like a high school though, or Philly, or are you just or are you a fantasy guy who've come in? Either one's okay. But this run heavy approach mixed with Penix's inaccuracy is going to ruin a ceiling. Penix's inaccuracy has been okay. I feel like you probably are a fantasy guy who hasn't necessarily watched all the games. Has any Falcons fans worried about Michael Penix's accuracy? Probably not. Tommy, this one is more about Tampa. Drake London has absolutely killed Tampa Bay. Killed them. Like 4 of his 5 best games in his career have been against Tampa Bay. They shut him down a little bit. They still spam targets to him, and that's not the most effective. And in this game, Tommy, Drake was hurt. He didn't practice. He hurt his ribs in that game. Still almost had a touchdown last week, but he was hurt. So if you played him in fantasy, I wouldn't have, because he didn't practice all week, and you don't go from 15 targets to 3 if you're 100% healthy. Not Drake London on that one. Guess Judon is out. I didn't see him, so saw him 51-10. Judon was not re-signed, and he signed with the Miami Dolphins, and they're kind of a show right now down there. They're having some trouble down there. Christy Lewis, good to see you as well. Hope you are doing great. Troy says all pro Diablo. And I'm getting close to just finishing this. Richard says, how do I get to the nest? Richard, in the description, or if wherever you're watching the video, you might be able to see something that says join, or in the description, there's a link to become a member. So let me, it's probably time we're going to get out of here, y'all. We'll talk all day. And I want to get to some content for you on Atlanta Falcons on SI. I've got 3 stories sitting in my inbox that we need to get to. So I'm going to get out of here. But as I wrap up, if you want to become a member and support the channel, there's 2 levels, Nest and Perch. And I will be offering content for members only. We're just getting started with this. So it's not just a, hey, please, though it is a, hey, please support the channel. I do plan on giving you some bang for your buck beyond what you get as with the regular podcast. But you can click on the link in the description on YouTube to become a member, to fully support the channel. And then we're going to start bringing you some exclusive members only content as well. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. And Clay, I agree with you on this. He says, Zach had the proper game script to protect Penix from getting blasted last night. It was conservative. It was. And you can do that when your defense is playing lights out against an overmatched offense and your special teams are playing well. And they did. So certainly appreciate everybody being here. Y'all were just absolutely killing it on the super chats today. I want to say thanks to Trenton, who came in a few times, Mopar, who came in a few times, Jet Jones, Greg Elrod, Jet Jones more than once, Canine Rottweiler, Carrie, of course, Carrie and Corey, Rio over on Facebook, Dwan, Matt, Antonio, Sam. I missed this one, didn't I? I did miss this one, Sam. Shame on me. Victory Monday. AJ's injury looks IR-ish. Might be 4 weeks. I'm not sure how you do that with the designation to return. I don't remember 100%, since you already have 2 guys out there that are on the short-term IR designated to return. Can you do that again, or was that just a preseason thing? I think that might have just been a preseason thing where you could keep those guys on your 53. But yeah, again, you might be able to, even if it's fairly serious, if he misses 2 games, he could go almost a month between snaps because of where the bye week is. So that's kind of, obviously we're hoping that nothing's there, but again, hamstrings just scare the bejesus out of me. They really do. But Sam, thank you so much for the support, and I'm sorry I miss you on this. And he says probably elevating CJ Henderson from the practice squad, but do you think we also bring in some help, maybe a Stephon Gilmore? Maybe. You're always trying to look for ways to better your team. How healthy has Kobe Bryant been? But CJ, I haven't looked at replacements on there right now in-house, like who would come in. D. Alford came in and ended up playing okay. Do you need to go more of a cloud? Where's Clark Phillips in all of this? As DeMarco Helms get healthy, do I go 3 safeties? There's different ways to approach this, but AJ being out scares me because he's the best cornerback on the team and a team that is short on corners. And that was one of the things we talked about before the season started. The cornerback depth in this room is not good. And AJ being out, hopefully it's super short term. And even if it's medium term, it may mean he only misses 2 games because of where the bye week is. So appreciate you, Sam. And sorry I missed that earlier. Shout out to new member Jason joining the nest. Corey coming in a couple times. And then finally was Brandon Wiggins coming in. So on that note, y'all, we went a little long. That's okay. We had fun today. I appreciate y'all being here. Remember, Garrett will be here tomorrow night. I will be back by myself on Wednesday as we look back. I'll take another look at this game, but then we'll move forward. We'll start talking about Carolina and where things go. And we'll have some more news by then on some of the banged up Falcons, including AJ Terrell. Thanks for being here, everybody. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on Wednesday.